What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Check the Kick. Sherdog.com is a website. I am the host, Devin, back with another episode. Coming off of a pretty damn good week of weekend fights. UFC 316. There was some chaos in Virginia in boxing. Just Google it because I'm not going to talk about it. But some pretty wild stuff went down out there in Virginia. UFC 316. That was a pretty dope card. Merab Dvalishvili turning it up a notch and making those improvements, getting a finish. We had Kayla Harrison getting a dominant finish over Julianna Pena. Patchy Mix made his debut. We're going to talk about that. Joe Pyfer proved me wrong. Kevin Holland looked good. Joshua Van looked incredible. All up and down this card, there was some pretty good fights. Sergey Spivak got kind of shafted. We're going to get right into the main event, though. Out with the old. Merab Dvalishvili defeats Sugar Sean O'Malley via third round submission. It was a ninja choke or a power guillotine, whatever you want to call it. It was like a very Islam Makhachev type of finish is what it reminded me of. Dude, Merab is 34 at bantamweight. This is his second title defense in a rematch against Sean O'Malley. He beat the boogeyman of the division in pretty clear fashion in his previous fight in his first title defense. And this dude's like starting to clear out the division. There's talks about him being the GOAT. I want to talk about his performance. Merab, the first minute of this fight, Sean O'Malley seemed to have the right idea, just like taking the back foot. But I'm also starting to realize that like Merab is much more of a cerebral fighter than I probably ever. We all think of this dude as like crazy cardio. What's crazy about Merab too with his cardiovascular abilities is like clearly he hits very hard, like as we saw in this fight, and clearly he's also very physically strong. Like the dude is a little spark plug, and dudes built like him usually don't have this type of cardio. When you think of cardio, you think of dudes with more of a Corey Sandhagen, or even a Sean O'Malley type build who would have, good cardiovascular abilities. But no, Merab, man, like obviously we all know he's got this cardio. Obviously we all know this. He's got this strength in this wrestling, but clearly his game planning is really, really good. Clearly his fight IQ is really, really good. He got his reads on Sean O'Malley. And then once he realized that he could start cutting the cage off when he pressed O'Malley up against the cage, Sean O'Malley would try to juke one way and then skirt out the other way. Merab was cutting him off with big power in the first round. He like clipped him with a shot. I don't know if Sean O'Malley's foot got stuck in the cage, but like he got banged by a big looping hook as he was trying to, skirt on the outside. Merab kind of jumped in with a big leaping hook and smashed O'Malley against the cage and kind of dropped him down to a knee. For me, it looked like he damn near dropped him, like he buzzed him. Go watch it back. Just watch the fight back again about a half hour ago. He really clipped him up like towards the end of that first round after he like made his reads on Sean O'Malley, and he was giving him fits in the boxing. Like, yeah, he got touched a couple times, but he seemed to be like the more impactful puncher of the two, which seemed, I was surprised by that. And man, like after that first round, the way he got the takedown, even in the second round when O'Malley was doing well defending the takedowns, like you could just still tell that it wasn't going to really, it's like by the time like 2 minutes into the third round, I was like, Sean O'Malley's going to need a finish in this fight because he's going to be, this is just how this whole fight's going to go. And he used to use this front headlock game where he would kind of like pancake on top of his opponents and push them down. And he would use that to kind of force them to like roll to their back. And then he would be able to get into, close guard. His ground and pound looked good in this fight, but his front headlock game has like gotten dangerous. His coach, John Wood, even said like, hey, we're working on submissions. Like Merab has submissions. Like he's a very dangerous dude grappling. And holy shit, if he starts adding like a sneaky sub game like this, where he's using his strength and, this was a very technical guillotine, but it was also like a strength sub. Like he just started to squeeze O'Malley. He's going to squeeze O'Malley's head off. he like elevated O'Malley up over his head and with takedowns in this fight. It was just like he like demoralizes people. Like it just, his ability to do this is just incredible. There was one moment in the fight where O'Malley's got his back up against the cage and he's like defending the takedown. O'Malley's got his legs, but Sean is like kind of holding himself up. And then, Merab has O'Malley's legs and O'Malley's like kind of holding himself up, and Merab just, kind of just gets a cable grip, grabs his legs and just shucks him back, and then, takes top control in that position. And in the second round, I think it was, where DC and Anik were like making it a point to be like, well, he's starting to defend the takedowns. And it's like, did y'all not watch the Petrion fight where this dude shot 49 times? Merab would get a takedown stuffed in this fight and he would smile, because he's just like, yeah, there's about 60. You got one. Cool. You've defended one of 60. There's 59 more coming. Like, he just doesn't stop. It's just this weird, like, and as a champion, like, is he starting, to me, it looks like he's starting to do like what Khabib did, where, Khabib had all of these like boring fights up to becoming a champion. I never thought that. Up to becoming a champion. And then like once he started fighting championship level dudes is like when he really started leveling up. He had the Ally Aquinza fight. It was a short notice fight, whatever. He won the belt with his boxing. And then like his Dustin Poirier fight where he went out there and, submitted Poirier and just abused him. His Conor McGregor fight when he went out there and abused him and submitted him. And then his Justin Gaethje performance where it was like, just ran over Gaethje, literally like, showed empathy and didn't want to like break his arm. So he switched to a choke. Like, this is what it looks like Merab may start turning into, which is, I mean, shit. He does not have the same, he doesn't have the same abilities as someone like a Khabib, or as a Islam Makhachev, as far as like the variance of takedowns that he has. Like he will go to the single leg, he'll go to the double and really try to elevate people. And then he likes to use a lot of trips. And he was using a lot of trips in this fight, just smothering O'Malley against the cage. But what he does have is that freaking tenacity, that same type of tenacity, and just like raw athleticism and just pure, like just mad dog that Khabib had. He doesn't have the variety of takedowns, but man, he is fucking dogged. Like, what do you do to beat Merab? Like, he can hold you against the cage. Cool. So if you defend the takedowns and you have a Jose Aldo fight with him, dudes that are willing, and I said this to Dane in the preview, dudes that are willing to have a boring fight to win are some of the most dangerous dudes on the roster, because they'll just do whatever the fuck it takes to win. And that's Merab. Like, if you defend all his takedowns, he will do what he did to Sean O'Malley in moments of this fight, where he'll just squeeze him against the cage. He's going to be stronger than everyone he fights in the division, which is nuts. And just knee him and elbow him to bits. Like, if that's what you want to do, cool. Like, he will make every fight look like Kamaru Usman versus Tyron Woodley. If that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. And if you start giving up takedowns, it could end up looking like this. Again, what is your game plan? If you're Corey Sandhagen going into a fight with Merab Dvalishvili, like what Corey Sandhagen likes to do that a lot of people don't do is like he will immediately reverse into like leg locks on the ground. Like if you look at his Davison Figueiredo, like if he gets taken down, he's immediately starting to like go for leg entanglements. And that is a good way to get someone that's like I don't know. That shit might work on Davison Figueiredo, but like, I think if you hit Merab with a knee bar and broke and tore his ACL, MCL, and meniscus, like if he could still figure out a way to stand on his legs, a la Thiago Santos, like that dude's still gonna be like, I don't like. Hit him with a jump knee. Sandhagen's got a good jump knee, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. But if you go to Sherdog.com and look at Merab Dvalishvili's record as a UFC champion, not even as a champion, just up through the division and as he holds the belt currently today. I'm going to read it to you because I read it before and I'm going to read it again. And maybe I'll start with like John Dodson. You know what? I will just start with his first win in the UFC. Tyrion Ware, decent opponent. Brad Katona, decent opponent. Casey Kenny, you know, they're getting better, even though he's clearly not a good dude, domestic abuser. Gustavo Lopez, whatever. John Dodson in 2020, like John Dodson is a very low-key, might be the most dangerous dude that he's fought, and he's fought Jose Aldo. Cody Stamann, Marlon Moraes, another very dangerous dude. Jose Aldo. It's Jose Aldo. Petr Yan. Just listen to the champions and the former champions this dude has beat. Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo. When I say Marlon Moraes, WSOF, World Series of Fighting. Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo, Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley. Marlon Moraes, former champion. Jose Aldo, former champion. John Dodson went to go win belts, by the way, and like BKFC and like killed a bunch of dudes like in Japanese MMA and Risen and shit like since then. So you could include him too. We'll just say Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo, Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley. Look what he's doing to former champions of this division. Henry Cejudo, like Jose Aldo is one of the GOATs. Henry Cejudo, I mean, if you tell me that you've got Henry Cejudo in your top 10 greatest fighters of all time, I would not argue with you. Sean O'Malley. Look what he's done to these. Like, these are former champions, and they're not even having moments against it. Like, their fight can be compiled to moments against him. Umar Nurmagomedov has fought the best fight against Merab Dvalishvili, and he still fell apart. And that dude's head coach is Khabib Nurmagomedov. And like, look at the Eagles MMA and AKA gym. If you're listening to this, you know damn well who these dudes are, and you know how impressive that is. I'm okay if you want to call Merab Dvalishvili the greatest bantamweight of all time. People are going to say Dominic Cruz, he has more title defenses, blah, blah, blah. And yes, he does have more title defenses, but like, there's so many arguments you can make for Merab, and the only argument that you can make for Dominic Cruz is the title defenses. But like, Dominic Cruz fought Henry Cejudo and got killed. You know, like, yeah, he beat Demetrius Johnson up a division. Love Demetrius Johnson. I don't think good things would happen to him if he fought Merab. Love Demetrius Johnson. He's a very little dude. Merab would probably ball him up and throw him out of the cage. And I love DJ. Yeah, like, Dominic Cruz's record does not look like this. Merab has not had the Cody Garbrandt fight happen to him. He's 34, still trucking, murking dudes. Like, he is having to fight like Umar. He's at the point of his career where the contenders that he's fighting number one contenders, and the only reason why like Corey Sandhagen is the number one contender right now. He might not be ranked number one, but he basically, you know, because he's beaten so many other people. The dudes that basically is kind of how I'm trying to articulate this is Merab is now fighting dudes that like Umar beat to get his title fight. So it's just like, yeah, he's beating second place, third place, fourth place. Like, people are like, Mario Bautista should get a title shot against him. That's how far back in the rankings we're going to have. It's like when Valentina Shevchenko was coming up as a champion. She was fighting like Jessica Ai and Chikagi and Seminara and Andrade and shit like that. Like, this dude is just, and these are good ass fighters. Sean O'Malley is a good ass fighter. He beat him twice, and there was no excuses. The injury shit, none of that crap, none of it. His injuries were healed. He had the hip surgery. This is the best Sean O'Malley. He quit diddling himself and everything for this fight. And yeah, like Sean O'Malley said, Merab is a motherfucker. People are talking about Sean O'Malley moving to 145. Merab is a different beast, and I would like to see him fight another fight at 35, maybe against like an Umar or something like that. But like Arnold Allen's fucking huge, and there's a lot of dudes that are just fucking huge at 145 compared to Sean O'Malley, and I could just see them like if he struggled with Merab's physicality, Merab would probably go up to 45 and chuck 90%, 95% of them dudes around. Might even go up there and chuck Volk around. But I just don't think Sean O'Malley would. I don't think he has the physicality. He would need to do like a major physical reformation and like go get buff, like how Holloway kind of did when he fought Justin Gaethje. And then for Merab, like, dude, he said he doesn't want to fight Volk. He's just such like a lovable, nice guy. It's so funny. He's such an incredible dude. Like, I don't even give a shit that his post-fight speeches are like crazy and 20 minutes long. Like, he's so like just the definition of hard work is Merab. He's so dope. So who he should fight next is whoever he wants. It seems like Corey Sandhagen is gonna get a title fight. Maybe if Pantoja beats KKF, Merab said he needs a vacation. Dude, take a vacation. You earned it. Maybe he can fight Pants at 135 in some sort of like super fight, but that shit would probably do nothing for him. But for like dudes like us, people like us, you know, if Merab beats Pantoja moving up from 135, that's a huge achievement. Like that's probably bigger than beating Sean O'Malley twice. I would put that on. I'd probably even maybe put that over beating Umar Nurmagomedov. That'd be a really good ass fight. But dude, no, he can fight. He'll fight whoever the UFC tells him. Seems like it's going to be Corey Sandhagen. I would much rather him wait to see the result of Pantoja and KKF. That's just me. I think Pantoja deserves it, and I think it would be a really good fight. Moving on, we have the co-main event. Kayla Harrison defeating Julianna Pena via second round Kimura. Mr. Ben Duffy, good guy, great guy. May or may not help edit the show, may or may not edit the whole entire show, may or may not make my life very easy when it comes to recording the show. He said it best, though. This was like a stop, you're under arrest, or stop. He said it was a stop resisting submission. It's funny that Kayla Harrison's like biggest opponent is truly the scale in this division, because when I was doing like tape study for this and even watching this fight, like, as a world champion, technically, like technical skill set and like what they bring to an MMA bout, Julianna Pena is not even like one of the best 100 people on the roster. I would say skillfully, she's probably in the there's I think like 700 people on the, but like I would say that Julianna Pena skills that she brings to the table as a fighter, besides her like tenacity and doggedness, which we didn't see this weekend, but like her like stand up and her grappling and her takedown game and her submission game, like she's not good. Like watching her this weekend, I'm like, this is a world championship fight. Like Juliana's best moments were the two up kicks that were illegal and the grimace on her face, you know. Like that's like all she brings to, that's like all she brought to the table against Kayla Harrison here. So like, cool, Kayla Harrison's the world champion, but like, and I love Kayla Harrison. She's got a great story. She's really cool to watch, but like truly it's just her versus the scale. And Pena had a terrible game plan. Like if you were going to win this fight, like you needed to go and just like get on your front foot and like jab her up the same way you jabbed up Nunes. Which is really funny because everything I just said about Pena, and I do mean it, like just go watch the tape, you know. Who's the, like, is Julianna Pena a better fighter skillfully? Like, does she have better technical skills than Tim Elliott? No. Who's a random obscure men's bantamweight? Marcus McGee? Kyler Phillips? No. Go watch the tape. They both are two different like species almost. Even like, dude, how bad would Jasmine Jasudavicius beat Julianna Pena in a fight? Probably. Or like Natalia Silva, or every like woman. And like, how bad would Wang Kong just piece her up on the feet? Probably. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I need to get back to Kayla Harrison because she won the fight. Kayla Harrison, her biggest opponent is a scale. She even said, like, I don't know how I make this last pound without God. I wouldn't be able to do it. And I probably tend to agree with her. Number one, about God. And then number two, about the last pound. Kayla Harrison brought Amanda Nunes into the octagon after the fight. I thought it was great. She saw her on the Jumbotron. She said that it was like a spur of the moment thing. She wanted to aura farm. Those were her words, not mine. And she was like, I brought her in, and Amanda said that she wants like November or December, which is really cool. They can do the New York card in November. And what's going to happen is this fight's not going to be at bantamweight. It's going to be at 145 for the women's BMF belt. You just mark my fucking words. And maybe this will be the end of 135. What they should do is just make a minimum 2 fight out of. They can do, say Amanda knocks out Harrison. They give Harrison a rematch again. And then if Harrison wins, now we got a 3 fight. We got 3 fights. And I think those are like, if Harrison beats Amanda Nunes, unless Amanda Nunes says I'm 1000% done, never coming back, they could just, the UFC could milk 2 fights out of it, a rematch either way, and I'd be okay with that. Like, screw it. There's literally nothing else left. I don't want to watch Raquel Pennington fight Kayla Harrison. I don't give a shit about that. And like, do you guys care about Macy Chiasson, maybe Norma Dumont, but like, or Eileen Perez, but like, that's it, dude. This division is just in shambles. Like, it is way worse than men's heavyweight. It's like a car riding down the road that's just an old piece of shit with parts just flying off. This will not save the division. If you think this Amanda Nunes comeback will save the division, you're so wrong. It's telling you that there's nothing else left, and this is the finish line. This is done. Like, once these Amanda Nunes fights happen, in my opinion, I think women's 135 is toast. And that's fine because, like, I'm totally okay with missing out on the Raquel Pennington and Julianna Pena type title fights. Like, if you just allocate that money into every other division, allocate it into women's MMA. Just allocate those funds, those purses and everything into just hiring more talent for 115 and 125. I know that's harsh, but like, dude, the UFC sells me a product, and they sell us as listeners and fans a product. And as a purchaser of the UFC, I just want to watch the best fights that can be put on. Moving on to, we're going to skip the featured bout. This should have been the featured bout, not the Joe Pyfer Kelvin Gastelum, but the UFC likes Joe. We're going to talk about a debuting fighter from the Bellator roster and the PFL roster named Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix debuted UFC 316 in a semi-short notice bout. He had 3 weeks to prepare for this because Chito Vera did pull out against Bautista. In stepped Patchy Mix, but really who stepped in was Mario Bautista. This whole week, they did a whole embedded. God, Patchy Mix on the embedded, like, he's getting eaten alive for that. He's, he's in the embedded, like, doing tape study with his coaches and Tatiana, and he's like, see how this got him pushed up against the cage? I could do that. I could submit him. I'll submit his coach. I'll submit his whole team, is like what Patchy Mix was saying, like, on the embedded. And Bautista pieced him up. Like, I don't want to say that Patchy Mix looked terrible. Like, he did look terrible, but, I hate to be the person that's like, there's a difference between UFC talent and Bellator talent. And in this situation, there just was. Like, there's no, like, nice or way to sugarcoat it. Like, Mario Bautista was just a level above Patchy Mix. Like, Patchy Mix was flat-footed. He was trying to... It's just like, he's got 3 tools in his MMA game. He's got a pretty good takedown game with a really good back take game. And he's got okay kicks, and he's got like okay knees up the middle for opponents that try to shoot on him. And he's got a good front headlock game. So that's like 3 or 4 things. But he was like really flat-footed, really slow, no head movement at all. Like, it's like he's never slipped a punch. Bautista was piecing him up to the body, throwing that cross to the body, he'd throw the cross to the body 2-3 times in a row. He was like breaking up his rhythm. He'd whack, whack, bam, and then fire. He'd double jab his way in and then just whack, throw a straight shot right to the body. He would throw that 2 or 3 times in a row, and he was mixing up the double jab with the single jab, the 1-2, the 1-1-2, and then he would just go 1-1-2 upstairs randomly. And then sometimes he would jab to the body 3 times and then feint to the head. Like he was just cutting angles. Like his boxing looked good. He just pieced up Patchy Mix. The body shots were there, and the body shots were opening up the straight down the pike. And it was just like a clean boxing performance. Patchy Mix shot 1 takedown that was easily shucked off. The only moments that Patchy Mix had in the fight was where he went through 1 head kick and like his toe like scratched Bautista in the eye a little bit. And then in the 3rd round, he landed like 1 good 1-2 after. It's like, brother, you've eaten like 70 of those, dog. Like, and he's like showboating, like doing the Diaz thing. Like he hit him with a cross, and then he just like, dude, he also seemed like, and he took this fight on short notice, so he just seemed like gangly. Like he didn't, he's a bigger guy for the division, but like even next to Bautista, like Bautista seemed to be in like better physical shape. Like he was just more toned and defined. Like Patchy's legs looked very little, which is weird because Tatiana Suarez also, like in her last fight, had these like little itty bitty like I was like, her leg is like this big around it, like at the thigh. It's ridiculous. And Patchy looked very like John Jones legs in there. And so like the way that Patchy is flat footed, like, oh my God. He is blessed that he didn't fight someone like Petrion that is going to leg kick and throw like shifting combinations, because Petrion would have killed him. If he fought someone like Petrion this weekend, he would have got murked. And Bautista is a dangerous and good opponent, but like, I mean, I know I'm making pretty big claims here. It's crazy because I had Patchy Mix ranked very highly, and going into this fight, one of my thoughts was like, well, fuck, if something happens to Sean O'Malley, I guarantee the UFC is going to be trying to slide Patchy Mix in for like a late notice thing. Just damn good. He was talking about how he in the gym, he beats guys up all the time, and he knows they know. I don't think Patchy Mix is one of the best 15 bantamweights in the world. When he was going through Bellator, making that run where he kneed Rafael Stotts in the head, demolished Horiguchi, subbed out Magomedov. Like, he might have had a claim to being the best bantamweight then, but that was years ago. And he's young. He's not young, but he's not old. He's 31. So it's just, I don't know. I think we had Patchy Mix quite high in the Sherdog rankings. I'm curious to see where he's at now. I didn't do I sometimes participate in the rankings, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes life just gets busy. I probably should. For Patchy Mix doesn't want me to participate in the rankings this week for him. But like, I think we had him in the top 5. In my opinion, that needs to be adjusted quick. I don't think he's in the top 15. I think he's going to have a lot of problems with dudes here. A lot of the dudes over in Bellator were like smaller, and Patchy Mix was like the bigger, more physical dude. But like, that's just not going to be the case here. Like, if he's going to struggle with Bautista's speed and physicality, Petrion's not a big dude, but he's got physicality, power, and he's like devastating with his combinations. Like, I think someone like Petrion would be an absolute nightmare for Patchy Mix. Even Sean O'Malley just probably knock him dead. Umar, like these, like he's not gonna keep up with these dudes if he's fighting like that. I really love Bautista's boxing, though. I really loved his willingness to punch to the body. 2/3 of his power strikes were going to the body, but that's why he was landing like anytime he threw a headshot, he landed like what seemed to be like 80% of them, just because of all the straights down the pike, all those crosses, just all the twos. This is a perfect example of how like somebody with fundamental boxing and good footwork can just like light people up in MMA. Because being like a good fluid boxer in MMA with being like pretty defensively sound, but just having like a good jab and being willing to punch the body will just take you like levels and levels up. I think Mario Bautista, like he's on like an 8-fight win streak. He definitely deserves a move up in the rankings. He should probably just fight Cheeto. Like, let's just make that fight happen. I think it'd be a really fun striking bout. I think that's the fight to make. And Patchy, he'll get another fight, like, but I don't know. Maybe he could fight Kyler Phillips. Or maybe he could, like, Cody Garbrandt fights this weekend. Maybe if Cody Garbrandt wins, he can fight him. But they'll probably put him against, like, if Davison Figueiredo's knee is not ripped in half, maybe they'll do something like that. But I don't think that'll be good for him. Yeah, Kyler Phillips makes the most sense. Last fight I'm going to talk about. I'm sneaking this one in. I usually do 3, but I'm allowed to cheat and move shit around. It is check the kick after all. I really want to talk about Josh Van real quick. Josh Van finishes Bruno Silva with a myriad of shots and ground and pound in the 3rd round after really just putting on a complete performance. His takedown defense, like even up on one leg, his athleticism and balance. He's 24 years old. He's the best sub 25-year-old fighter on the roster. I don't care. I don't. Why am I saying Ray Surya? I don't care about Tatsuro Taira. Yeah, he's a great fighter. Tatsuro Taira is a very good fighter, but I don't see Tatsuro Taira fighting as often as Van is, making the improvements that Van is making. I think Tatsuro Taira, if he were to get stuck on the feet with Van, I think he'd get killed. I think most dudes in the division flat out that get stuck on the feet with him are going to have trouble. Even someone like KKF or Manal Kopp or Brandon Royval. Bruno Silva had the right idea. Joshua Van, is not the best leg kick checker. And he does, really rely on his footwork. So I think Bruno Silva had the right idea trying to chop that leg up. But the takedowns didn't work. He was getting rung. His bell got rung so many times in the pocket. Shout out to Bruno Silva for just like being willing to get buzzed and not be like, okay, let me just fucking skate through this fight because I'm going to get murked. No, like he kept trying over and over again. And I really, kudos for that. Like he was willing to go out on his shield. And this was like way more one-sided than the Manal Kopp fight with Bruno Silva. That fight was kind of tit for tat until Manal Kopp went out there and finished him. This was just like a real one-sided, just anyone that gets stuck on the feet with this kid. Like if you're going to get stuck boxing with Joshua Van having prolonged pocket exchanges, like you're going to be in trouble. Unless your name is Charles Johnson. Well, how fucking good is that when looking back at that? And I'm not going to call that an anomaly, but I'm going to call that a learning experience. And that was like in July of 2024. That was less than a year ago. Look at this kid. I literally had the choice to talk about the Rose Namajunas fight against Miranda Maverick this weekend, and I chose this instead. Tatsuro Taira's back to Tatsuro Taira, and I compare them because of the young guns of the division. They're the prospects of the division. Reason why I think I have a little more hype on Joshua Van is number one, just his he's like upping his game, upping his takedown defense, and he's staying active. He's doing what you're supposed to do. Oh, by the way, breaking news, supposedly Manal Kopp is out of his fight with Brandon Royval on the 28th of this month. So in about 18 days, pretty sure we're going to get Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. Fucking awesome. Tatsuro Taira, though, to make the comparison, like if Tatsuro Taira is a great grappler and that's his strong suit, but Joshua Van his strong suit is his pocket boxing and his boxing, and that would put those equal as very, very, very good. But I think Joshua Van's wrestling defense is much better than Tatsuro Taira on the feet, like in total. So, those two dudes get matched up in a 3-round fight, and Tatsuro Taira has 1 round of ground control, but he's stuck on the feet for the other 2 against Joshua Van. He is also no longer a slow starter. He would make his reads. I think he's also finally making the adjustments where he's like, hey, I'm in 3-round fights. I can't have these be close. I'm way too good for this. Like, let me go. Instead of taking 5 minutes to make his reads, he's taking 1.5 minutes to make his reads now. And that's like a mental improvement. He's starting to see the game. Like this kid, he's not very big. So he may be able to be fighting. He might be able to fight here for 5 or 6 more years, which is awesome. But even if he moves up to bantamweight, like he would dust Patchy Mix. Hate to say it. He's significantly smaller, but oh my God, how bad would Joshua Van light a dude like that up? There's no matchmaking. He's supposedly fighting Brandon Royval. I'm not breaking the news because I don't know if it's 1,000% official, but that's what I'm seeing online. So shout out to him. Joshua Van's a fucking animal. He's so good. And that wraps up the first segment of the show. We're going to skip what's hot. There's some pretty somber news about Ben Askren right now. Some pretty sad stuff going on there. RIP Jordan Breen. But there's not a ton of awesome stuff, and I kind of broke the cool news. So we're gonna skip the what's hot segment of the show, and we're gonna go straight into the new. This weekend we have UFC Atlanta. With some pretty cool fights going on. It's headlined by Joaquin Buckley taking on Kamaru Usman. Sorry. And I picked a couple fights to talk about, 2 of them in particular. First fight we're going to talk about is we have Malcolm Wellmaker taking on Kris Moutinho, the return of Kris Moutinho. He is back. He has been kicking butt on the regional scene, and he's been really wanting to come back to the UFC, and he kind of deserves it. And he's back, taking on, as a short notice replacement, taking on an absolute killer in Malcolm Wellmaker. Wellmaker, the Georgia native out of Augusta, he won his last fight where he kind of killed Cameron Simon. That was back in April, so kind of a semi-quick turnaround for this guy. He knocked out Cameron Simon back in round 1. Just beautiful, beautiful boxing from this kid. And he got a performance bonus, and he was a tradesman. I forget exactly what trade he was in, but I'm pretty sure he was a union worker, a welder, I believe. And he quit his job, and he had a very good job. Like, he's a tradesman. Like, those dudes make pretty damn good money. But when he got this bonus, I think it was welding, I believe, left his hard hat, at work, and he said, love you guys, but I quit. Which is really cool for a young kid to be able to do that. And honestly, like, if he's as good of a tradesman as he is a fighter, like, dude, Malcolm Wellmaker's he's real fucking good. Odds on that fight, I'm sorry, I think I said it, but I don't know if I did. So I'm going to just repeat him again. Wellmaker's a huge favorite. He's minus 1,300. Kris Moutinho is coming back at plus 775. Insane odds there. Kris Moutinho, he had a pretty tough run in the UFC where he got knocked out by Sean O'Malley after getting beat up real bad, and then he lost to Guido Canetti. He got knocked out, so he's 2 finishes in the UFC, and then he went back to his regional scene, and he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight win streak with all finishes. He's got a bulldog choke against Antonio Castillo, a TKO versus Mateus Silva, a submission against Jay Presley, a knockout of Elijah Harris, and then last time out in Cage Titans, he won via retirement at the second round. So he beat the dude up so bad that they called it on the stool in between rounds, between the second and third. So Kris Moutinho, man, he is a kid that is. I feel bad for him because this fight is probably going to look like his fight with Sean O'Malley, but instead of having like 40 of those exchanges just happening over and over again, it's probably going to only be like 4. Just because he's really hittable. He's not the most durable guy. And Wellmaker is like almost like a nightmare match for someone like Kris Moutinho because Wellmaker's so athletic. He's undefeated. He's 9-0. He's got incredible boxing. He's got really, really good takedown defense, and his athleticism compared to Moutinho. Like if these dudes were to run like a 40-yard, like a 40-yard dash, or like Wellmaker is just such an explosive athlete in this division. His lead check hook is incredible. His ability to, just like you this past weekend knocking out Sergey, which is like knockout of the year shit. Wellmaker could have something like that happen against Moutinho. This is a short notice replacement for Moutinho, and I feel bad for him that this is these are the circumstances upon his return to the UFC, basically. Kris Moutinho can make this dirty. He's definitely got more fights. He's the veteran of the two. He's definitely more experienced. He's, cut his teeth all over the regional scene in the Northeast. But I don't know. He's slow-footed. He doesn't have good head movement. He doesn't have the power to keep up with Wellmaker. I think Wellmaker gets another round one finish. Give me Malcolm Wellmaker to beat Kris Moutinho. Welcome him back to the UFC with a knuckle sandwich. I think he's going to blast him with some sort of check hook where he's, Moutinho's marching forward. He's walking onto the jab, and Kris Moutinho will throw with Wellmaker. And if this fight goes, if there's a third round that starts in this fight, then, Moutinho might be looking good. But Malcolm Wellmaker is such an accurate counterpuncher with good volume that will throw, and he does not take a long time to make his reads, and he's just so fast and such a fast twitch athlete. Like, I could see him just, catching Moutinho in the first 2 or 3 exchanges and putting him out. Give me a Wellmaker round one knockout. Moving on to the main event, we have Joaquin Buckley taking on the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman. Odds on this fight, and I have not looked at these odds. I really don't. I do my tape study, my little write-ups, but I don't look at the odds until I'm about to talk about the fight, even though I usually have a pretty good idea. Joaquin Buckley is the favorite here, minus 275. Kamaru Usman's coming back as a plus 225 dog, and I get it. Usman is on a 3-fight loss streak. He hasn't fought since the Khamzat Chimaev fight in 2023. He's got bad knees. He's getting older. He himself is currently 38 years old. And this fight will be contested at 170, even though his last fight was up a division. And I don't know what to expect from sorry, my dog had a little squeaky toy that I had to put a stop to. And again, Kamaru Usman he's on a 3-fight loss streak. He has not fought since the Khamzat Chimaev fight on short notice. And he's known as the second best welterweight. And this dude was on an incredible run. I think it was 13 fights, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Holy, this dude was on an incredible win streak, even pre-UFC. And I think it's 13 in the UFC. His last win was in 2021 against Colby Covington. So it's been almost 4 years. I was on November 6th. It's been almost 4 years since this dude's got a win. He got head kicked by Leon Edwards in 2022 in a fight that he was winning. And he came back and rematched Leon Edwards where, he lost the decision, and it just didn't look that great. And then last time out, he I don't want to say he looked good against Khamzat Chimaev because he really didn't. He got 10-8'd in the first round, and the second round was close, and he won the third round. He looked okay. He looked better than he did the last 2 fights. And when Usman was a champion, when he got with Trevor Whitman, his boxing got better, his power got really good, but there was fights where if you watch him leave the octagon, his knees are so ruined that he was walking backward, out of the cage, walking down the steps backward because his knees were so bad. And to my knowledge, and it doesn't seem like he's made an attempt to repair his knees in this 4-year layoff. It seems like he's just been doing podcasts with Cejudo and fighting Bilal Muhammad on the podcast. I don't really know what he's been doing. But it's time for him to come back. He's got a main event slot against Joaquin Buckley. And Joaquin Buckley on the other hand is he had a tough go in the UFC when he was up at 185, but he seemed to make a career reformation when he's moved down. He knocked out Andre Fiallo, just beat Alex Morono, knocked out Luque, beat Nursultan Rizaboev, knocked out Stephen Thompson. And in a fight, he was kind of on his way to losing. And then he really roughed up Colby Covington. This fight is interesting because I'm still not 100% sold on Joaquin Buckley because he's kind of just I just read you his wins. We just saw Vicente Luque lose another fight and the brain bleed thing. Alex Morono, love Alex Morono, but he's not a title contender in the top 15. Nursultan Rozaboev is not a top 15 or 20 welterweight. Stephen Thompson's getting older, and he was losing that fight until he was winning. And then Colby Covington is also old, so he's making an old man run here, fighting old dudes, which is it's a good fight for him. I think in a fight like this, an old Usman would be able to have success because I think he could just kind of probably repeat what Tyron Woodley did. Joaquin Buckley has incorporated some really good peekaboo style boxing to his game, but he's hittable, and he himself is a little bit chinny. Like, he's been head kicked. He's been knocked, his debut, he got knocked out by Kevin Holland. Mind you, this is up a division. He's also the owner of the greatest knockout in UFC history, because everyone's going to say that anytime they talk about Joaquin Buckley. Really incredible athleticism of what he's able to do. It would just make sense for somebody in Joaquin Buckley's stage of the game to just really crush Usman with leg kicks and then use his head movement and his inside boxing to really try to get inside and hurt Usman. Usman has a really good jab and a really good 1-2. Like, he's got a really good cross he's really tightened his boxing up, and he throws straight punches really well with a lot of power. Like, look what he did to Jorge Masvidal. He's the first and only person to knock out Jorge Masvidal. But I think it's just one of those, like, one dude's going down an escalator and the other dude's going up, and I think they're just meeting in the middle. But unfortunately, I think it's, I think this just favors Buckley. I could see, again, Buckley is not the most durable dude, and he does not have this incredible fight IQ. He can be pretty one-dimensional. He can wrestle a little bit. I don't think he's a superior wrestler. I don't think he's going to be getting takedowns against Usman, because even when his knees were completely shot, he still had pretty good takedown defense. Khamzat Chimaev takes everyone down, so that's just a one-off. I don't want to say a one-off, but an anomaly, maybe. Khamzat's going to take down every opponent he wants to. Even if you take him up to 205, probably. He's huge and quick, whatever. But I just don't trust Usman at 38 with no knees to be just defensively sound enough to not get cracked by Buckley. And I don't think he is in his physical prime enough to, like, have those moments where he's just going to have a boxing match. Like, I don't think he can afford to have the first Colby Covington fight with Joaquin Buckley, because Joaquin Buckley is just more athletic and hits harder than Colby Covington. I think Buckley's going to knock Usman out in the second round of this fight. I don't expect Usman to show up looking good. I wish he would have got his knees repaired 5 years ago when he was, like, at the championship level, but he should have got his knees repaired after the Tyron Woodley fight when he had the belt. And now it's too late. Like, he's 38. He should be fighting that. He should have got his knee. He should get his knees repaired and just move up to 185 and just be like an old dude at 185 fighting people. He should just, like, be like another Jared Cannonier up there. He should be fighting dudes like Kopylov and Chris Curtis and, like, maybe Paulo Costa, but he doesn't have knees, and he's going to struggle with the movement. If Buckley's going to be using his pivots, his peekaboo style, Buckley will, boom, pivot and switch stance and, boom, throw a big hook over the top. And I just think someone with his movement and athleticism, Usman's 38, he's going to give Usman a lot of problems. So give me Joaquin Buckley by second round knockout. I think he is going to hurt Usman and probably just knock him dead. So I'm picking two knockouts. One in the first, one in the second. Give me Joaquin Buckley by second round knockout to defeat Kamaru Usman and just, add another old dude scalp to his roster. And that is the show, guys and girls. Thank you so much for tuning in. Probably do something next week. We'll see what kind of cards we'll take a look at the fights and see what we got going on. It's getting hot out there, so stay cool and enjoy the fights.